Welcome, villains, to episode 103 of the Rules of Villainy. I'm Villain Vince, joined as always by Villain Andy and the Mayor of Lorcana himself, Brad. How we doing tonight, gentlemen?
Yeah, pretty good.
I'm all right.
Doing pretty good.
I think we waited on each other there.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on there. It was a silent pause, but it's all good. With a millennial pause, I think is what they call it.
Been a millennial and a boomer today, apparently.
But well, you are a millennial, though. Like one of those is actually categorically true.
Yeah, I guess so.
But before we continue, just want to make sure that folks hit that like button and subscribe. We're ever inching ever so close to 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, we need your help to do that. So we'll appreciate if you do that right now. Actually, that'd be great.
We'll wait.
But let's get into Underworld.
We gotta wait for them to hit the subscribe.
Oh, okay. Waiting. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Into Underworld news. We are continuing to get reveals of Attack of the Vine. Sorry, that'll just.
Oh, we weren't doing reveals.
What? We're not doing reveals. I was just saying that
you just wanted to say Attack of the Vine.
Attack of the Vine.
Attack of the Vine. But we're going to talk about those because we've got some more important news this week, because we're going to talk about set champs in our main segment. And actually we've got more important news, which that villainess Kirsten has taken down the inaugural Questlemania.
Let's
go. So that's really exciting there. And if you haven't watched it, you should definitely go watch that video on demand. We'll have a link hopefully in the description below on that.
I thought you guys were cooked when I saw Lorgain's list.
No, huge shout out to Lorcana.
Yeah, for sure.
For putting this
I
thing
did not
on.
expect him to play Emerald Amber or Emerald Amethyst Burn into your into your decks today. As soon as I saw that list, I'm like, oh no, because that's so fast.
Yeah.
Do you kind of wish you had like a Wasabi or something?
Did you have Cusco in your deck?
No, I considered it
Cusco earlier. Yeah.
Captain Jimmy said not to play it. Good move, Captain Jimmy. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I didn't actually need it.
To our Metafy report.
I wasn't too worried about the item as much. I just picked the wrong deck, really. What it came down to is that because I was all the control, and they were basically both just aggro lists, because Kirsten made a lot of changes to make her deck go a lot faster, and she had a very aggro line in the game, that I was just basically like, well, whoever I remove less of just wins the game, right? So,
yeah, I mean, that was basically all you did in that game was control the board. I think you quested for like 2 or 4 the entire game.
Yeah, I think I finished with 5 lore.
Yeah, I was like, poor Andy, all he's going to be doing this game is not questing.
Yeah, and so
that was like, oh, there's collusion going on between the ROV.
Not even the case, too. Somebody said at the end of the game, and I was like, did we watch the same game? Because I was surprised at how much he controlled Kirsten's board, too. There were times that Kirsten had story on board, and I was like, well, if Andy doesn't do anything about it, Kirsten just wins. But then you Hades something off of Alvin's board, then you let it go on Kirsten's board, and I was like, we got a game here. Like, he's just doing everything he possibly can, but Kirsten slammed the board there at the end and couldn't get rid of everything.
But yeah, it was. I'll be honest. I was basically the dungeon master for their game that they were playing, because kind of earlier on, I realized that, like, okay, every time I play one of my single target removal abilities, I have to choose one of them, and whichever one I don't choose gets a little bit closer, right? And so I realized, okay, well, I could just choose Alvin every single time. And Brad was right. I could just let Kirsten win the game like several times. And I was like, well, that'd be nice. She's my wife. And like, then we get revenge on Alvin because he beat her in the Penny Pincher, the Chippendale Classic, right? But I was like, well, I've got more removal, so I'll just like continue removing both of them. But I basically realized, especially like that very last turn, I think it was the most prominent to me, was that like even if I had all of the answers to remove everything enough from Kirsten's board that she couldn't win that turn, it would mean that Alvin would have won his next turn as well because I didn't remove any of his stuff. And so somewhere along the line, no matter how evenly I distributed potentially the removal, I knew that somewhere down the line I was going to have to decide which person do I want to win the game, basically, right? Like,
Yeah, I think
who do I just not?
it's important to give our listeners context here a little bit. That so in each step of the Questlemania, it was a different format of the game, and so for the final round, it was a 3-person multiplayer
Triple threat.
winner. And so, as a person who plays a lot of multiplayer, because it's one of my favorite kind of formats of Lorcana, there are a lot of times you become in situations where it's like you can't win, you can never win, but you can choose who you want to win.
Yep.
And honestly, in a lot of ways, that's kind of the more fun position to be in sometimes, because it's like how mean were you to be in this game? Because now you're never gonna win.
Yeah. And so even if it wasn't my wife, and teammate in the finals with me, I was still going to have to basically just let someone win and choose someone to win. And so, it became a fairly easy choice. Alvin, you're great. I love you. But I had obviously was like, okay, well, Kirsten will just win then.
It's funny. We had a at League this past week at Fortuna. We had a 9-person multiplayer going.
That's
crazy.
Sounds awful. That is way too much to process.
It was actually a lot of fun, to be honest with you.
I think this was the first game with more than 2 people that Alvin had ever played. So that was pretty cool.
That's
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
We ultimately had to set a different threshold of lore because the story closed. No, I think we said 15, and then finally we were like, whoever has the most lore this turn, it wins because the store's closed.
Oh, look, it's me.
Wasn't me.
This is and I'll quest for 15 past the turn.
Tamatoa dime. Sorry,
Play
guys.
4 Olafs. Everyone else loses 8 lore, and then I'll quest. What do you know? Store's closed, guys. Vince wins the 9-person Royal Rumble.
All right. Well, let's get into our main segment, which is all about the last week of set championships. So we've got on this Birth of the Nation celebration, 250th anniversary of the United States. We still have Lorcana going for Wilds Unknown, both on 4th of July and on the 5th here in the area, and perhaps for folks that are listening in LGS stores near them as well. So we've competed in quite a few championships amongst us all. I think, Andy, you've probably done the most. I've done 4. Brad, how many have you done? Just the one? Just the one.
Yep.
I think I've only done 4.
4 as well?
I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think 4 now. I've gotten a card. I've got top 8 in every single one I've done, so that's been nice.
You've got a play mat. I
have gotten first. Yeah.
Right. I've gotten the card in all 4, but have not cracked top 4. I got close though. So in the first 2, I was 8th. I was 8th, like the cutoff. This one I changed my deck. I switched from Blurple to Amber Amethyst and got 5th. And just couldn't crack the top 4. But luckily, thankfully, friends of the show, Megan and Steven, have both have the mat as either themselves or their family, because Link won it at Manicore, and so they passed down the playmat to me, which was very kind of them. And I think just goes to show you how gracious our local community is, and so I really appreciate that. But for those of you that are really looking to still play this weekend, I'm in 2, although I may drop on the 4th because of family, but I'll probably play the 5th. And I think you're reversing that, right, Andy? You dropped the 5th.
No, I'm
but are
dropping the
playing
4th.
Oh, you are dropping the 4th
Yeah, the
too?
4th I'm doing barbecue with a family. I was told I could go play set jams. Kind of want to, but like I don't need to. So I'll probably just go hang with the family and grill up some burgies.
So are you playing on the 5th or no?
Yeah, I am going to play on the 5th though. The 5th one is going to be stacked. There's only one store that has it.
Yeah.
And so that one, I think there's already 20 some odd people signed up. So that should be a spicy one.
Yeah.
Brad, you gonna make it out?
No.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Come on.
Sunday?
Yeah.
No, we have plans.
Sunday.
You gonna go on the 4th?
Where's that one even at? Is that on the Illinois side?
Yeah.
Is that round?
Yeah. Well, you can go on the 4th as well. 4th is Wizard's Wag. Whizwag.
Whizwag.
So that might be the one I was dropping.
Yeah, we're gonna watch remotely. Cheer on our teammates.
It's probably gonna be one big dogs fest. Not really interested in either of those.
I'll tell you what, it's in our show notes right here. Andy, I think, put it here. Is Baja is the best deck. That's the tweet.
Yeah.
End quote.
Yep. You say it's gonna be all dogs. How many dogs were at game night?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna lead into. I really wish I could have played in game night this time around since there was not a single dogs deck there. But
I've played in 4 set champs. You know how many dogs I've played against?
Lucky. You know how many set champs I played in? 1, and 4 of my 5 matches were dogs.
Yeah, you got very unlucky, but you know I've only played it once in 4 set champs. I think dogs is, a niche deck. Honestly, I think it's really good.
It is a good
niche.
deck.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just I'm tired of it.
In all,
let's go see who signed up over there.
3 set champs or 4 set champs I've played in. I have played against dogs twice, and I won 1, lost 1.
I won 1, lost 3.
A lot of decks don't really care about dogs too much either. Like I think, Baja is beatable into dogs. Same with potentially Blello. I think Baja is a little easier because it has the single-sided board wipe and Under the Sea, which are better against Lilo. Although Blello does have options like Let It Go and Hades to be able to put Lilos away and then still use something like Raging Storm. Amberthist, the one Vince has jumped ship to or is playing now, is I think a little bit unfortunately vulnerable to Under the Sea from a dog's deck, and so that can be rough. Ramber Boosties again kind of has the ability to beat it like Blello and Baja, but this time it doesn't have anything to follow up a board wipe with, and so if they get too many Lilos in the discard, Ramber Boosties essentially crumbles to that.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why Baja works a little bit better against something like dogs is that you have the shift capabilities, so it's easier to get to something like Under the Sea if you need to, versus say like Amethyst. Getting to 8 ink is really like 8 turns to play something like
Raging. Yeah.
You don't get there's no cheat code for Raging Storm. So that honestly, that's what I found myself in a lot of times. Is like I needed to get a board wipe and I needed to get 8, and I would draw a card and I didn't have inkables, and I was like, it could have been a great card that I wanted to keep, but I needed to ink it because I needed to get to 8 ink so I could play Raging Storm and hopefully like stabilize from there. And that can be a real challenge. I think the mistake I made as I played, I talked with our captain about his Amethyst deck, and there was an earlier version where he was also playing the Lanterns in addition to the Willows.
Yeah.
And I think given that there were so many Baja decks at um, Endless is where I played on Sunday. Is I really needed something like World's Greatest Criminal Mind.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have necessarily helped totally, but
Now you just need the new Gaston.
Give me more.
New Gaston. He's more expensive though.
I thought it was,
I mean, Blello or Baja can go 2-4-6 and 2-4-6-8 if you go like Cindy Moana, and so now you're on 8 ink on turn 5, and so you can then board wipe Baja, Under the Sea or Raging Storm, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people at that tournament you were on dogs, and I also think you were on a deck that maybe doesn't favor too well into dogs, because that's the flip side of this, right? Like, dogs obviously can beat dogs. Blurple, I think, thinks it can beat dogs and does beat dogs. Amethyst Steel beats dogs. I think, some of these like toy decks or other, there's a lot of decks out there that can beat, dogs.
Blurple can beat dogs, but I think it's especially somewhat vulnerable to the Mickey.
No, they play so many warded characters now because they play the 4-drop Merryweather and the 5-drop Scuttle, so that keeps them safe from something like that. I mean, Chromacon still could potentially be an issue, right? Like any of dogs, I think, could still win any of these matches by like hitting one of their high rolls, right? Like if they have the Mickey package and you don't get a warded character, or if they have the Chromacon, or sometimes they don't even need that and you just like don't hit enough characters fast enough and they just go really fast. Like there's, but I think Blurple players feel comfortable into dogs. It's not their favorite matchup, but I think they know they can win it.
For the most part, yeah, I think that's true. But I think one of the problems is, although I'm not really sure that match is super winnable anyway, is Blurple is especially vulnerable into Amber Amethyst.
Yeah, Blurple has a lot of really bad matchups, honestly. I think Blurple into Blello is bad. I think
yeah, don't I know it? Don't I know it? That's how I know that one.
Blurple into Baja, I think, is also a bad matchup. I think Blurple into Amberthist, Amber Amethyst, is also, like you said, a bad matchup.
Yeah,
Ramber Boosties can honestly even still mess with a Blurple because of a board wipe. Blurple has a real hard time going against board wipe decks.
Yeah, and not only does Baja have a board wipe, aside from with the one-sided board wipe with Under the Sea. Granted, you have some worded characters that are not vulnerable to it. One of the key powers of a deck, of really any Amethyst deck, is its card draw power, and they have a card like Bend that and that can be real. Well, I mean, basically, once that happens, you're now top decking. And maybe you're hoping you get into a card draw and stuff, but it is just as likely, in my experience, that you get the card you need, or you start getting your like T-pos and your sales. Which I guess sale isn't the worst option because you can at least draw another card. But I don't really want to see Basil or Fauna or T-po right after I've gotten bend to my will.
For sure. So Brad, you said you're not playing. That probably means you're just like done with core forever and are ready to rotate out all the
for this version of it. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like you're just ready to rotate everything out.
I think so.
If you were to play set champs, or I guess technically there won't be any more practice days with your team. You're going to come to to Thursday night league and practice with us, right? Your core decks.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Probably not. No, I think
Rip. Sad.
we're gonna
That's
just have a night to ourselves. Yeah.
But what would you play if you were still interested in
The two
Lorcana
main.
at all? This dead game that no one plays anymore.
Do not put that on me. I've never said those words. But the two main core decks that I have built right now are Amber Ruby Toys and Amethyst Steel Dwarves, which I've been on a killing spree, a banishing spree with, if you will. But
I saw you
you're talking
testing
about
it that game night.
bad Blurple matchups, yeah. And they Amethyst Steel is just the dwarves that I've been playing has just been eating Blurple alive. But I didn't feel like bringing it up because I thought I'd just get dunked on, like I generally do for playing my decks. But everything I play is jink.
I still have Amethyst Steel Dwarves built. I feel like it would be bad into Blurple because by the time you get the big 7/7 out, they have, Hades or Into the Unknown or Let It Go.
You just swarm the board with it. Like me and Link were testing on last Tuesday night on Vince's birthday. We had a party at Fortuna, and even we switched decks afterwards. After I 2-0'd Link on his set championship winning deck, we switched decks just to, like basically my introduction to Link was doing that in the past when I introduced him to Blurple. And I was like, yeah, let's switch it up. Let's see if I have any better luck with it. And it can win if Blurple does the Blurple stuff. But a lot of the times it goes wide. Too many dwarves, too much stuff out there for Blurple to deal with in a timely manner, and it's I couldn't beat it either. Link 2-0'd me with my own deck.
I mean, it's just like swarming the board because you do have a concentration of 1 and 2 drop dwarves and princesses, so that you can try and hit your combo. There's really nothing more costly than like 4, other than the ones you're trying to cheat out, which are kind of either, you've been ramped there, or you're not there, whatever. You just ink them, but it's just Doc, and then like the faux Diablo, the dwarf Diablo, right? That when it's banished, you might get a card because there's another dwarf or princess in play.
Yeah,
play the one that draws you on play for a dwarf or princess.
No, that's
how else
Doc.
are you drawing cards?
But he might find his way in the next after Steel Doc gets rotated out. But yeah, Steel Doc is one. Getting that bounced with Snow White. Snow White draws a card for bouncing any dwarf. Demona gets you cards most of the time you're playing her when you have no cards in your hand. Dumbo, the Dumbo package with him, Elsa, Bashful make drawing there on 4 and 5. But yeah, it's.
Sounds like you're not playing many steel cards.
No, not really. It's it's Doc, it's Strength of a Raging Fire, Happy, the evasive on turn Happy, the 1-drop, just an extra dwarf on 1. There's 2 of those in there.
Right. If you beat Blurple though, like you're the same as every other deck, right? Like beating Blurple is, I think, something that is already easy to do. You need to. How do you do into all of the decks that beat Blurple? Baja, Blelo, the more control decks, Ramber, Boosties.
Baja is tough. I had no arguments for you when you said Baja is the best deck right now. I did test into Jimmy on Monday night. I took game 1 on the draw, but I think that he just altered badly and couldn't find his combos. But the games 2 and 3, I was playing scared because he was at the ink, going on to the ink where he could shift and do Clarabelle, when I have a bunch of cards in hand. So I dumped my hand. But the alternative is he could just shift or sing Malicious Meaning Scary and shift Prince Philip, right? So it's basically just a waiting game to see what I do. It's like we had a chat about it afterwards where it was, well, I have both of them. So let's see. Are you going to have a lot of cards in hand? I'll shift Clarabelle. Are you going to have a dump to the board? I'll just wipe it. And I kind of bounced back a little bit and got some board presence there. But ultimately, at the end of the game, it was just too much to deal with because Baja can just look for so many cards with vision and develop and all that, find exactly what they need and just wipe you out. This is when I talked to Tiago at Indianapolis, he said the biggest problem with dwarfs right now is that half the deck just dies to Under the Sea. So gotta try my best to avoid that. But
So
Is what it is.
Vince, you are playing on Sunday. Are you going to go with Amber Amethyst again, or are you going to? Because I think, frankly, I understand Blurple's not working out, right? You got 8th place in a 9-person set champs. You're like, I got my card, but you kind of go home and you look at your card and you're just like, man, wish I got better than 8th place. Like, we got to find something better than Blurple, right? And you go to the drawing board, and for some reason you look at Captain Jimmy and you're like, he's on Amber Amethyst. That's a really good deck. But then, like, Jimmy lost to Baja twice in a row in the top 4, and then Baja mirrors 2 times in a row. We're in the finals. Both ROV teammates every time. Why didn't you go with Baja, mate?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, the reason why I didn't go with Baja is because it is a deck that I have very little practice in. So I have it built, and I felt more comfortable playing something with Amethyst in it because I played Amethyst a lot. And like, so you play Amethyst, then you play, you Ruby Amethyst, then you switch to something like, um, you know, Blurple, and I have experience playing something like Ruby Sapphire. So it's like, you play these ink colors and you're like, I know what these cards do. I know how they can interact together and stuff. And then I was like, well, I can play Amber Amethyst. Like, I understand how that deck runs. I've got the play lines. I can figure it out. I probably, like, if I would have thought about it a little bit more, would have probably made some different choices in my Amber Amethyst deck, which I have made some different changes in it. Um uh Before, now. So I am thinking about that. The thing is I played Baja last in that league the other night, and man, I drew terribly. Like, I was just like, this deck is like, it hates me. It does not like me. And I think I'm just not good at it. I don't have enough reps into that deck to play it effectively. Um and so I think I need practice is the answer there.
Well, I'll see if
Whereas I think, like, you practice a lot of decks. You do deck test Tuesday. You do a lot of, so you switching decks isn't unusual. You also play a lot, more of these decks. You play a lot with Kirsten and stuff. Um, I don't. You also play with the team a lot because you're a member of our competitive team.
I will say that I played Baja because of the performance of Ryan and Chip at
Chip, yeah.
Modox, and I did not have many reps against it. Obviously, with it, I've played Baja before. Like, I understand the base concept of the deck, and I do think there's a lot of room for me to get better at Baja, at the Baja deck. But most of my practice, quote unquote, for that deck came from losing to, like, Chip and Ryan and watching them play while I had a bye. I just sat there and watched and seeing their finals, the mirrored finals, and so it was kind of just like, okay, well, they can do it. I'm hopefully as good as them. I can do it. Let's try it.
I guess the question I have for both of you a little bit is that, um, why Baja wasn't so much on the radar at the beginning of set champs. It wasn't one of the decks that we've talked about. I look at even like other content creators out there, wasn't super on the radar there. But then we look back and I think about, like, when I went to DLC Melbourne and how in Winter Spell and how successful Baja was there. We also saw how successful Baja was at DLC Richmond, right? So it just makes me, and so it shouldn't be a surprise that it has still done so well in set champs now. And it were really in the core meta. But why do you think it is that it wasn't, like, really considered as a major kind of player at the beginning of set champs?
I don't know if I have a good answer.
Probably the same reason Brad played 4 out of 5 rounds into dogs in week 1. I think while it's not like maybe it's not proven, maybe it's not scientifically or statistically sound, but I do think there tends to be trends toward faster decks. I think it is, my hypothesis is that it is a little easier to put together a deck that goes fast. Especially when you don't really have an established meta of like, I need to go fast and avoid X, Y, and Z, right? Instead, you're just like, I need to go fast. So you look at all the new fast tools. So these aggro decks are really popular at the beginning. And then people who don't want to play these aggro decks, people like Brad who are like, I hate dogs. Dogs are no fun. I'm going to kick the dogs. They figure I'm gonna, build the deck I want to play. This, Princess Dwarf Jank aggro combo mid range for fun casual deck. I want to play that, but now I'm gonna make it whoop dog's butt. And then everyone figures out how to do that with the mid range. And then people are like, okay, well now how can I survive dogs, but then beat all the mid range, right? With my control deck, because that's really what I want to play. And so it kind of just is like, I think the micro evolution of a meta game, or like a set of the meta of a specific set over time is that it just grows from more aggro to more control. Maybe if you had just played Baja there, it would have worked. But I think even now, part of the reason I'm playing Baja is because I feel comfortable that there won't be that many dogs, right? I've only played one in 4 set champs. Maybe I've just dodged them, but there's not that many. Brad, I don't know if you ever answered my question about game night. How many were there? 1?
0.
There was 0 dogs
There
at
was
game night.
0
Okay.
dogs there.
Yeah. So my
I think there
Baja
was
meta
I finished
was
the
pretty
deck
great.
list and I went,
one at endless.
should be playing right now.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, there was only 1 or 2 maybe at dojo, but the one of them won it. So shout out
there were
Tom C from Team Tom's.
And there were 2 at Fortuna. 2 dogs at Fortuna.
Yeah.
2 at or 1 at Endless. And there were 2 at Bodex.
Okay.
Or was there only?
Yeah. There might only, I don't know. I don't remember. But Bodex was small. It was only 9 people. So, there would have had to have been like 3 or 4 for you to not dodge dogs, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of the tournaments this time around, one thing I will say is I've been, in kind of a retrospect, have been a little surprised about is a lot of the set champs. I mean, there's been exceptions, have all still been kind of relatively small. I would have maybe expected them to be.
Well, we had a whole weekend where we were out of town for DLC Indianapolis, so only 2 stores I think ran them that weekend, and then this past Saturday we had literally 4 stores running them at the same time, which was
That's true. Yeah, we were kind of split across a bunch of stores. I think only 1 store actually ran them when we were gone.
Yeah,
it was Manicore and it was Aesop's over in Farmington.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good store. I wish I could make it out there. I think another fun, interesting thing I feel like is we're at the end of this set meta. We're going to this last week, and we're writing out our show notes here. I even added 3 more of them to this list, but I honestly believe that you can play competitively and even win a set champs given the right local metagame, given the right local turnout for the decks, your matchups, some luck, some skill, right? But Baja, Dogs, Blurple, Blello, Amberthist, Ramber Boosties, Amethyst Steel, the mid-rangey version, or even a slightly more aggro version, Ruby Amethyst works great against dogs. that one just eats dogs alive. You think there's a lot of dogs in your, play Ruby Amethyst, play Lisa Maza, and just like, yeah, laugh when they play that Mickey. And then, Ruby Steel, even I believe Kristen from the competitive team tested Ruby Steel in core. Not even like anything crazy,
birthday,
just like
by the way.
what? It is her birthday. Yeah, happy birthday. But like a mid-range version of that, just like Amethyst Steel, the same thing. So it's not even like a crazy actions version or anything like that. Ruby Amber Toys, Brad was playing that. I've seen it played.
That deck is actually it's good. It is. It's pretty good.
It's at the
I don't
bottom of
think
my
it's.
list and it has a question mark for a reason, but
I don't think it's
Doesn't
quite
have a
there
question
yet.
mark.
you took the
But
question mark off. Brad took the question mark off.
It was not there.
Emerald Amber Toys is another one that I also kind of put in that category. I played against one of them at game night. They, they had some unfortunate draws. I had some decent draws. I also just think it's, maybe not quite there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be better in the next set with some of the cards they've already revealed that we will talk about another time. Yeah, Ruby Amber Toys is so much fun though too.
Find
Especially
out
when
next
you get
week on Rules of Villainy.
when you get the mirror of Ruby Amber Toys, that Sid card is just disgusting.
But
Brad,
we do need to though get Chip on at some point before rotation so that he can say farewell and defend Tramp's honor before it gets rotated out of the format, because he fundamentally disagrees that it should be banned.
No, I think he wants it banned.
What?
I thought he wanted it banned.
No, I'm pretty sure he would defend that it shouldn't be banned.
His stance is that Grandma Willow is more of a problematic card overall, but which is very much true. Like Grandmother Willow does a lot of things for a lot of decks, making every on your turn, just the cost reduction of your next card is huge. It's but it enables so much more in the dogs deck right now, making Tramp be just absolutely
Willow's
a menace because he can just find.
I don't.
You find five things on the board. Like there's all these things. It's Eleanor, it's Big Tramp, and Willow enables it even more to get more things out there, to find more cards in your deck, to find that wide removal, and then just take the game away from you. So,
I guess my ultimate question there, I mean, aside from the fact that you can use cards like Ilanwi to support and use Willow as a body to hit things or sing things. Not that you would do that, but mostly
like what?
I'm like, where's he going with this, mate?
But is that you've still got something like Lantern, and I actually that does the exact same thing.
Willow doesn't go away though. Willow's not going away. Lantern is also not going away either. Right?
Lantern's not going
I'm just saying, like, you're
going with us, mate.
Willow is not the problem. Tramp is not the problem. I don't think we should ban either of them. I do think together they cause a problem because Amber has multiple ways for you to get character cost reductions, whether it be item form, non-exerting character form in Willow, exerting character form, even fun ways where they make sandwiches with aliens and they heal people. But
I think we should have Chip on to do this debate, but I'll just say that my whole premise here of why I think Tramp is at least the starting point to ban a card is that its ability to play it, to cheat it out based on the amount of characters you have on the board, draw that amount of characters, and sure, you get the downside of discarding characters, but there are a few components of that I think is one is you can dig through your deck, so you can find the answer that you're looking for. Two is there's a lot of disincentive. There's not a lot of downside necessarily in the dog's deck to put things in your discard because you have cards like Lilo, and you have the other lady that can the shift lady that can bring cards back from your discard. So I'm just saying that that is why I fundamentally think that Tramp tends to actually be the more problematic card, because I think if you didn't have Tramp where you could dig, you would be forced, I think, more likely to hold on to cards in your or alter more efficiently in your hand, to hold cards that weren't as efficient to play. For instance, you might have to hold something like Under the Sea, or try to get that in your starting hand so that you could consistently play it out. Because if you can't throw it back. Now you throw it back because you're worried about your opponent playing something like Ursula or a Mowgli, or Lenny, whatever, right? Is now you're like, oh, I can throw that back because I'm gonna expand my board, and then I'm gonna play Tramp. I'm gonna dig for it, and I'm gonna find it.
It doesn't matter. I think what you're describing is reactionary, like and that a ban is by nature reactionary, but you know just
Rest my
because
case.
um you know just because what it is Tramp has downsides, right? Tramp is a very expensive 7 cost 2/6 that does very little if he's just the only character you're playing. So you have to set up for Tramp. So he has setup costs, and his downside, like you said, is discarding things. So now you have to play into the card's downsides and make it an upside. I think that's what makes any card good, right? If you look at even a simple card like Hades, put a card into your opponent's inkwell face down and exerted. You might think that's a downside because you're ramping them, but it's really actually a big upside, and it's easy to see that one because you're removing one of their characters, right? But sometimes, you have to find ways to, make that downside an upside. And by playing cards like Zombie Lilo, by playing cards that can recur things from your discard, they've made that. But you also need card draw and card filtering, right? So if Tramp wasn't there, they would be playing different cards, like Strike a Good Match, like maybe, something else that helps them dig through their deck and find cards and look for what they need, or that just doesn't become viable anymore, right? Like if you truly want to say, we don't want to allow these ink colors or this deck to be able to draw this many cards or filter this many cards through their deck. We just don't want to allow it. Then that's fine. Um, it's just, the combination of all of these things together. And so that's why I think you ban one thing, they're just going to find, we banned Hiram, and all of the decks that Hiram were played in are still played, including Ruby Sapphire items, Ruby Sapphire Shark Manor, Blurple with the items, Sapphire Steel. Every one of them is perfectly fine.
Right. But I
just
mean, you're
adapted.
playing, in a lot of sense, you're playing more inefficient items to do the similar effects. And you may argue in
Yeah.
some respects that you would play very similar things as well. I mean, we saw that when uh uh oh my god, the squirrel got
Bucky.
Bucky, thank you. Bucky got nerfed. Is that people are like, oh my god, thankfully, like Emerald Steel is gonna fall out of the format. And actually, what happened is they switched to a more fundamentally reliable kind of format versus with discard, versus using something like the Bucky mechanism to play Floodborns to discard. We did other things that were just as kind of oppressive. So in some ways, I think we talked about that at that time, that those decks actually kind of ironically got better after the ban or the nerf of Bucky. And so you could make, I think, the case too that some of these decks could get better with a ban and stuff. Honestly, like, it really doesn't matter because, at least for the core format, because these cards are getting rotated out of the format here in a few weeks. I think the real question is like, does something like Dogs, do well in Infinity format? And I mean, I think we saw in Indianapolis that it did do pretty well, um, in the Infinity format. So that's a format where Ravensburger really still wants to have series competitive play. And I know we've talked ad nauseum about the concept of infinity DLCs and what our opinion is, but I think we all at least conceptually agree that a world's player, if you're going to be a world champion, you should be good in more than just one core format. So Infinity is likely to be one of those formats. That format also still needs to remain healthy long term. And, maybe the pressing issue to ban Tramp isn't as pressing as it was 6 weeks ago. But I still think maybe it's something that needs to be considered.
Yeah, I think Infinity could have a very large ban list, but I do think that you would need to go in and essentially surgically disable multiple of most of the unfair things. You need to look at all of the things that everyone is doing in Infinity, and you need to say, okay, we're going to classify these things as fundamentally fair or unfair. And, if they want to balance this, they need to take the most egregious things that people are doing, and they need to find a piece of that and remove it so that that thing crumbles, or that thing becomes more reasonably fair. Right. But I don't think I don't think it really does anything at all to just ban Tramp in Infinity. If you just ban Tramp in Infinity and then they say, okay, we're gonna have Infinity at Worlds, brother, what are you doing? Right? I don't think that changes anything really at all, because there are still so many other decks high rolling for incredibly powerful things that they can do. So I believe they should either unban Hiram and reprint him, add him back to core, reprint Popsicle. No, sorry, I got a little carried away there.
I'll say Popsicle.
But I think they should either unban Hiram and Infinity, or they need to just create a very large list. And I think on that list, cards to consider are things like Tramp or Willow, or even things like Workshop, potentially Maurice's Workshop, cards like Olaf, or like Diablo, Prince John, Storm, all kinds of, just, you'd have to examine it. Yeah.
I gotta say, there's one deck on here though, going back to core, that I didn't see put on here, and that is Ruby Emerald Leviathan.
Leviathan deck. That's probably playable.
Honestly, I'm very surprised about how consistently you could use the Return of Hercules to get out the Leviathan.
Not anymore.
Yeah, shout out Crash the Wolf, one of our viewers and our Discord mates here. They posted a list a while ago, earlier in the set, of a deck they called Disco Machine that was basically that same concept. Them and Paul went back and forth a little bit, discussed it, and I like it. It's interesting. It is kind of a high roll deck, and I kind of feel like Core is potentially moving towards more of consistency. You kind of have to high roll that combo to hit that Leviathan, and then you have to have some reasonably statistically probable things happen to you. What if they have bigger characters? They have a Maui Shark out there, and you're just like, well, I can only get rid of Maui Shark and not the rest of their crap. But
and I misspoke. I meant the Return of Hercules.
Return of Hercules.
Yeah.
Did you say Reign of Hercules?
I think I said the Gift of Hercules.
I think you said Return.
I thought you said Return of Hercules. It's the Reign of Hercules and the Return of Jafar. But this deck, I will say that the Christmas deck was crazy in Infinity. I played against one of those on Friday with Airfoil. Play 2 actions, exert the item, and draw a card.
Yeah.
They just get multiple airfoils out there, and I am like a loser paying 1 for my workshop draws, and they're just like 1 drop action, draw a card, 1 drop action, draw a card, exert the airfoils, draw a bunch of cards for free. I'm like, oh my goodness, rough.
But yeah, Brad, you're right. The Return of Hercules not gonna be long for the meta.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a fun card that never really found its place. I played around with a ruby emerald action deck 2 or 3 sets ago that, of course, was not very, very good. But it was fun to try. But then we talking of Lorgains earlier, he's got a deck out there on his Dreamborn that's called Free Leviathan, and looked like it was a lot of fun. But it's just with this close to rotation, it's just what I can't put this together and reasonably get good reps in on it, right? So
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts for the last weekend of core constructed for the Wilds Unknown?
Always apologize to your opponents after you play Bend in My Well. It's the least you can do.
Or actually, don't play Bend in My Will.
Never mind. That was a bad idea. Don't listen to Brad. Let's move on to Constituents Corner. What do you got in the mailbag, mate?
We got a question from Paul saying a question with Attack of the Vince being sorry, I got me. But Attack of the Vince being the next rotation set, do you think we might yet see reprints? What cards do you think would warrant a reprint? Which do you think should not be reprinted? Homie, there are a lot of cards that I think should not be reprinted. Let's start with Tramp, Street Smart Dog.
Should be reprinted. Good idea. I like that. Reprint Tramp. Hashtag reprint Tramp. You guys put it in the comment if you agree with Brad and you want to reprint Tramp.
No, that's a really, really good question. I believe they'll sprinkle in some reprints that I think that they'll find some good synergies, and they've probably designed cards for specific synergies. You know, in the sets to come. I really like that they included like Mickey Mouse Detective, for example, in the Whispers in the Well set, because that was all detective themed. Made perfect sense that he got reprinted. So cards like that, depending on the themes of the sets coming up. We know the next one is Hyperia City. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm trying to think of what would be a good card that might be thematic. We don't know much about Hyperia City at the moment, but I don't know. I guess I should think on that one more. Do you guys have any ideas on what you want to see reprinted or not?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the camp that I really appreciate that Ravensburger is not reprinting a lot of cards, that we're getting a very refreshed meta. But we are seeing not necessarily functional reprints, but we're seeing cards do very similar things in different forms. So for instance, I can't think of the name of the card that's coming out on Attack of the Vine, but basically is Doc, right? It's like a draw.
It's an action, the Smolder. Yeah.
And so I appreciate that we're getting, similar mechanics, but in different forms, in different ways. And I think that's really interesting. I think where I would like to see potentially reprints is maybe not on the hardcore competitive side, but I think I would like to see reprints in areas where maybe actually you would want it on the I was gonna go down a different lane, and now I'm thinking maybe not. I changed my mind mid-sentence here.
It's a good point though that you made up. Like the Smoldering being the action, we have the Maylin Lee from Turning Red. That's basically the new Ariel, right? She's a 3-cost 2/3 that searches for the top 4, and you can get a red panda character or a song to put into your hand. So like they're taking already established cards that were staples of the meta and kind of revisioning them for new sets, which is I think a good way of getting reprints out there. But I mean, the specific question is, is there any cards, I guess, that speak to you that you want to see continued to play? Because maybe, I mean, he didn't word it this way, but that you would like to see. Like my first thought would be like Mufasa. You guys know I love playing my Mufasa decks. I called for that reprint in the last one, but we have that kind of action in the Simba, as you were talking to, the Simba boost card from Whispers in the Well. So we don't necessarily need the Mufasa anymore. We just have a more expensive version of it that exists now. So if you want to do that, you're just going to have to pay for it.
That's right. I just really like the fact that we're getting into the place where there's more design space, so we can do new things, do new interesting possibilities, which I mean, what we're going to talk about, I think, in future episodes, like the combo shift and all these, temporary shift, all this stuff that they're doing, which I think is really cool. But as far as like I mean, some of the cards they've reprinted, I really already enjoy. Like I'm really glad, we got a lot of those in Fable. Like I'm glad Hades still in the meta. Probably one of my favorite cards. I guess I'll take it back. If there's a card I wish they could reprint, I would love to see Brave Little Taylor make an appearance back into the meta. I don't think he's a great card necessarily mechanically, but it is
Jock
cards.
What about you, Andy?
Reprint Hiram and Popsicle.
Oh yeah, we already covered that. Yeah.
Next question.
From Lucas, he said, "What's your favorite bad Lorcana combo?"
The ones that don't work. I don't know. Like what?
Somebody in the Discord, I forget off the top of my head who had said, brought up the old Beast Bayou Sheriff Nottingham combo. That was a lot of fun after that came out. The Beast Relentless and just the one trick combo there. One that came to my mind is one I'm doing currently in the right behind you into the 7-cost Grumpy on 3 is always fun. If not that, then the 5-cost Evasive, that's basically a Dumbo check in Bashful, but I wouldn't necessarily call that a bad combo, but if you don't hit it, then you feel a little bit behind, because that's what most of the time I'm trying to alter for if I have 2 or 3 pieces of it, or 2 of the 3 pieces. But I can't think of any other combos in my head.
The Monstro combo, that was one.
That's a combo. I don't. That's another one where it's like, is that a bad combo
though?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it's a good combo.
I think it's a good combo if you can hit it, right? That's the thing. If you can hit the combo, if you can make it, it's good. If you can't make the combo,
is like having 20 items and playing Tamato a dime considered a combo, right? Like it's just one of those things that is sort of the win con. I would say for me, any combo that uses Merlin's Cottage, I thought that was really always funny. It's not good, I guess, really, but it was always just funny. Like, we could do like Blurple with Bruno and Merlin's Cottage, or just like name a card.
There we go.
Look at the top card of your deck.
That's one that Vince will love. He hates that I have that Bruno in my brooms deck. When I run a deck of 30 plus brooms, that Bruno card could pop off if you get him established. You just got to hit one of those brooms on every turn for 3 lore. There we go. That's my combo there.
Yeah. All right, next question.
And the last one from Jackalope Spam, my 2v2 buddy in Indianapolis. He asked, with the next season being villain focused, who should they replace Mickey with on the golden cards?
By my count,
we're far away from losing Mickey on the
still 300. I think I answered him. I don't want to get this wrong now. We can look at the question. 350-ish approximate golden Mickeys still available to be given out. As awesome as it would be to have a golden character, new one for the season of villains, which if you guys didn't hear, by the way, I don't know that we officially talked about that. We were
in the news. We're in the season of villainy, baby.
Yeah, we were under an NDA. The season of villainy is going to be next season.
You did get the casting contract, right, Andy?
Yeah. So like we have some shoots to do with the other villains, Baker and all them. So, but if they did do one, that'd be so cool. But I really just don't. The only way I'd see it is if like they said, okay, we've given out 250 golden Mickeys. That's half of them. The other half are now going to be like Half-Life, like a Half-Life of plutonium, like gets smaller and smaller. So we gave out 250 very liberally. Now we're going to give out the next 125 less liberally. And then another 75 even less liberally. Like piecemeal it out so that like 25 years from now, the very last golden Mickey is given as part of like a special tournament or something. They could do that. In which case,
Andy really wants to try to get a golden Mickey for his collection. So
I'm just
he's
saying.
hoping, but
if they did that, then they would have room for potentially adding another golden character. A golden villain would be nice. Obviously,
I don't think
Kirsten
they
would
ever put a
love
villain. Do you guys
Maleficent,
think they?
Hades, but like I
I
just
don't think they ever do. I think it's
Pete?
always going to be the Fab Five. Like
You think it's just
maybe
gonna
Pete, in the longevity of the game, but like in my mind, it's Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald. You know,
okay?
those
So you're saying
those are the ones that they do.
if you're in charge, Mr. Ravensburger, I mean you are the mayor. You get elected to El Presidente of Lorcana.
Yeah,
You're going Mickey, and then when all 500 run out, you're going Minnie, and then you're going
I think
Donald.
I think that's the Disney way,
Goofy?
right? Like I feel like
Daisy, Clarabelle.
no, it would be Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, then Donald, Pluto, Daisy. I think is
Okay, that lasts a
So-
long time. Vince, what do
yeah,
you think?
yeah.
I like that idea. I think that's not wrong. I also though think Disney is really trying to lean into its villains because the villains are really popular. So we've seen them do that over the few years with games like The Villainous. We see that with Villains Land, which again we can't talk about because we've been working with
Sworn to
the folks at
secrecy.
Disney. Yep. Both the current CEO and the incoming CEO here. But no, really, I could see them switching it up for a villain.
I don't know. Like set
Yeah.
champs and all that stuff and prize walls and set names and stuff, sure. But I think the overall prizing of the entire game, the entire Disney brand, I don't know that they put anything else up there as the number one prize to get other than their name stay, you know, their Fab Five, Sensational Six. But
Let me.
I mean, I wouldn't turn down a golden, you know, Jafar or Scar, you know, but like
Let me float this, right?
I just
So
don't see it happening.
golden Mickeys are still a top prize. Obviously, like you said, promos, all this, that, or whatever.
Silver Scar.
In other games, they have unique promos basically for each DLC. So one DLC would have all Elsa cards. The next DLC would be like all, you know, Anna cards or whatever it is. So if they did the Season of Villainy like this, let's say there are 4 events, right? Or even 5, we can count worlds, right? One for 3 DLCs, nationals, and worlds. Let's say there are unique special villain cards. Let's call them silver villains, right? Instead of golden Mickeys, they're silver villain cards that you can get for topping one of these DLCs. What do you think they are? So like top 5 villains. What villains, if they had to pick 5, what do you think then?
Hades, Scar, Ursula.
What was the first one you said?
Maleficent, Scar,
Yeah,
Hades,
Maleficent for sure.
Ursula.
Maleficent, Ursula, Scar. I want it's a weird, but I want to say Captain Hook.
Captain Hook, maybe. You think you're going? You guys are saying they're going more classics. They wouldn't do things like Syndrome or
no.
You know, they wouldn't do Randall or whoever the bad guy from Up is. You know, the balloons, I guess.
I forget his name. I can picture him. I can't think of his name.
The doctor that couldn't save Ellie.
No, I think at the core, it's classic Disney. Like they just introduced Syndrome, Pixar, all these, you know, in the last 2 sets,
so it's
right?
not Lotso Hugging Bear.
It's not Lotso, but that would be one of the top of my list for Pixar themed cards there.
I have a new Constituents Corner question.
Yeah.
Hot off the press. If and when they release a Lotso Hugging Bear as a promo in the pre-release kit, in one of those cellophane wrappers, does it smell like strawberries?
I asked that in one of the Discords the other day. I said, if they don't make the Lotso card a scratch and sniff, then they have failed us as a kid.
Yeah.
I think people
like,
know that it has to be at least one of them. At least one of them. Maybe not the one that they put like in packs.
Right,
maybe
right.
not
This one.
like
You could
this.
just start. It could be one of the promo cards in the pre-release packs, but people just start stiffing their box to see if they got the Lotso before they even open it.
Well, I think they have to. I think
That would be really funny. Yeah,
must to make Lotso a scratch and sniff. For
they
sure.
did it with the toys. Like I used to have a giant Lotso bear. From one of the Disney stores, and you could just smell his belly, and it just strawberry, overwhelming sense of strawberry, and it lasted forever.
We've looked at like several-year-old like of the Funko Pop things statues from back when Lotso first came out in Toy Story, so several years ago, and you pick it up secondhand at a store and it smells like strawberry. It's like wow.
All right.
Yeah. If you want your questions answered here on the podcast, feel free to comment below on this video or on this audio, wherever you are listening. Find us on the socials at Rules of Villainy, or join our Discord where you can ask in the Constituents Corner channel.
All right. Everybody's favorite segment, Villain of the Week. Take it away, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm doing it. How about Andy do it? This was your
All
card
right,
of the
Andy
week.
can do it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how about Vince do it? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, it's a 7 cost Milo Thatch getting his hand dirty. 5 strength, 5 will.
Both hands are getting dirty, Vince.
Ward. He's got 2 abilities here. Scholar's Gambit. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to return chosen character to their player's hand. And Practical Knowledge. At the end of your turn, if 2 or more cards were put into your discard this turn, draw a card. It quests for 3, and it is an emerald card. The artist is John Lauren, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. What's your thoughts here?
This card is crazy. I've been telling people since the beginning of the set that they need to start slotting this in. I was told, nah, Basil's just better. And I said, you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
This guy is a warded beast at quests for 3 and he does the same thing as Basil for the most part, and allows you to draw cards in an action-heavy deck where you develop your brain and sail the Azurite Sea. All these cheap actions just activate that draw a card there with him as well. And the fact that he just slots so easily into Baja to get him out there a lot earlier is just gross, man. You can't do anything about him with the ward.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That one keyword, ward. If you're a Blurple player and you're already having a Baja bad time, you're certainly having a Baja bad time when you can't target this character with anything because it's ward. And so that character lives on for as long as the Baja player wants to leave this card on the board and not exert them. I guess you have Demona too, but
Mona.
That's really it. That's really your only option.
You can like bounce an opponent's Hades with this Milo Thatch, the blue Hades, and you're just like,
what do you do with it?
We can do
yeah, what do you do with that?
You can do. You can play it. Not be targeting me. It is really, really nice in the control mirrors, essentially. It's less great into a deck where you need to wipe the board, essentially. But in some of those more mid-range matchups where you are maybe having some trouble sticking the Cindy, the Donald that you played on 4, or the Moana that you played on 5, if you're playing him, John Silver on 6, something like that, this Milo Thatch guarantees you the ability to be able to sing that Malicious, Mean, and Scary. I like to play him not as a 7 cost, but as maybe like an 8 or a 9 cost, so that you can guarantee you get that card draw. So you play like a Develop Your Brain, look at the top 2, take 1, then you play the Milo Thatch, you ditch something, and then bounce something, and you draw a card. The other really nifty part is that it's just return chosen character to their player's hand. So you can bounce your own character, maybe a Clarabelle that has a little Clarabelle underneath it. So you get that little Clarabelle to be able to replay it and remove an item. You can bring back the Philip stack the fill stack so that you can play fill or fill from the future. Whenever you need to again. One of my favorites is Buzz Lightyear. So I actually play 2 Buzz Lightyear, 4
Oh, you're up
Milo.
to 2 now? I
Yeah,
thought you
2
were
Buzz
on the
Lightyear,
1.
2 Buzz, 4 Milo, 1 Bend to My Will, which actually means I'm playing 7 Bend to My Wills.
It's gross that
Because
this card can just get, or Buzz can just bring that back, and it's
Yep.
You got cards again? No, you don't.
Yep. Yep.
Buzz was almost villain of the week. We talked about it because the combination of him bringing back these actions just to enable, more things here from Milo is just gross. And by that point of the game, it's probably meaningless because you have a steady board most of the time. But like that extra lore from Buzz, the ward on Milo, questing for 3, and being able to do essentially anything you want is just ugh.
Buzz
Yeah,
is
so
basically
good.
like Shark. He works
Yeah.
almost identically to Shark in the fact that like in those later games when you just chain. I played against someone, I can't remember.
Me too.
But I like Sail gave my Cinderella +1. Drew a card. There's another Sail. Try another card. Vision, develop. My Cinderella quested for like 7 that turn. I just used all like 9 or 10 of my ink to just play a ton of these cantrips. Now I'm left with like another Milo, another Buzz, Malicious Mean and Scary, and a Prince Philip in hand.
Right.
And I'm just like,
And
oh yeah.
but you're also putting cards into your discard, and so you're triggering the second
Yep.
ability on this, where you're now refilling your hand and drawing cards. And so, and you can stack this, so if you have like you've played another,
Multiple Milo.
Milo, or you've played now a Cinderella, you can stack draw, then do your end of turn Cindy triggers and stuff. Like you can just do some crazy stuff. To be able to filter and ink, and it's just gross. It's a really gross card.
The extra draw before Cindy can sometimes be really, really helpful. And then also with a Clarabelle, you can do the Clarabelle trigger first and then the Milo trigger so that you get 1 extra card, which is pretty nice as well.
Yeah.
Wild.
And the artist here is John Lauren. He has 17 cards in the game, but 11 of them are unique cards. One of them is a fan favorite, and that is Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard. And then
I got it
he's got
signed.
nice.
Let's go.
And then he has 2 enchanteds. He has the Ursula Sea Witch Queen, which
Set champs.
Set champs card. Yeah. And also he has the Milo Thatch enchanted from this.
Yeah, the enchanted version of this card that seems to be common here in state. It's really gorgeous. I don't have it in front of me right now. I pulled 2 of them. I know Vince has one of them. You either pulled 1 or you traded for one.
I got one.
Reed, right?
No,
I traded
got one too.
Yeah.
And then I saw Justin.
Brad.
What's that?
Trade me yours.
I thought you have one.
I want another.
Oh, I already traded one of mine for Mrs. Incredible, but
I'll give you this.
But I saw Justin pull one.
Cusco.
What's that got to do with anything?
I'll trade it for your Milo.
Sorry,
I traded the Leviathan enchanted
for it.
Reed.
Yeah, so many Milo enchanteds in St. Louis, and it is a beautiful card. It made my pre-release experience a lot of fun too. That's the first time I think I pulled a enchanted in a pre-release setting, and at first we had our first pre-release packs this set, so it was extra fun to open that first box there at game nights. But yeah, lots of good cards. John Lauren does good work, and we also had one of his reveals when they reprinted Ursula Sea Witch. We got to reveal that for Fabled, and I got that signed as well. The epic version of that card was signed in Milwaukee. So
let's go.
All right. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're joining us on audio, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you really should. We have a ton of fun over here. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and check out all of the other amazing content we bring you, including Deck Test Tuesday the meta report, the ever elusive but still existent enchanted hunt from Vince. So yeah.
And we understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending some of it with us. If you'd like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, you can find us on all the socials at Rules of Villainy, and we also have a growing community on Discord, which you can join with the link below.
Until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plan. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.